Fantastic.
Okay, here we go. Hello, everyone. This is JCK on my channel, Quantum Truths JCK, and everybody knows my beautiful friend, Gordon Smith. I love
Hello.
Gordon so much. You know, I put one of your videos, Gordon, on my Telegram chat, and everyone, every single person, they said, "Oh my gosh, I love Gordon. Oh my gosh, I love Gordon." So they loved the videos that you do. They thought you were hilarious in the recent one that I shared. And I just I reached out to you because it's been a few months, isn't it? Because we used to talk
It
all the
has.
time.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
used to
yeah.
talk every couple of weeks, and
Hmm.
then I went overseas and I got really busy, and then I felt like I've got to talk to Gordon. I had it in the back of my head, and I reached out to you, said, I'm about to do all these courses, so this is why you're here. But
Yeah.
if you're new to my channel and you just started watching and you haven't seen Gordon before, I'm going to share. There was a big video that you and I did,
Hmm.
if you remember. I
Yeah.
reached out to you because I wanted to get I'm just going to show everyone. I wanted to show everyone the first big video. Now, this is your website, but
Hmm.
I'm just going to show everyone the first video we did. So if you go to my channel, and you go to the quickest way to find it is you go to playlists. So when you go to playlists, you could find one of the playlists is interviews, and you go down to, I think we've done number 215, and it's also in the highlight on healers, but I think it was 164. Okay, so we did
Mm.
a video here, 164. I didn't share audio, so you won't be able to hear it. But this was a huge hit, this video here. Induced me. You induced me in this video. We did a hypnosis video, and I don't think I cut out the induction so that no one else gets hypnotized, just like you said.
Sure.
But it got, I mean, look, 74,000 views on that one. And that
Mm.
was huge because this was my private session. And I don't think many people share these sorts of things
No.
publicly,
No, they
do
don't.
they?
No, they don't. No.
I did edit out the private stuff, but I mean, everybody loved your voice and the way you handled my session and the way you guided me through. And I mean, we could talk about all this stuff. So if you wanted
Mm.
to find that video, it's number 164 in my channel, or you could even go to the playlist called Highlight on Healers. And one of the last videos I did with Gordon was
Mm.
their number 215 as well. Okay. So, Gordon,
Hmm.
last time we spoke, we were talking about the clinical hypnotherapy course that you were running, and I did that
Mm.
course. So I'm
Hmm.
very grateful to have done that as a foundation. And I found it, I mean, the way you handled it, you're such a brilliant teacher. That is your background, right? I mean, that
Sure.
is what you do.
I've been teaching for a lot of years now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And so, can you tell everyone, well, tell everyone what you're doing now, what you're up to, what the courses you're
Okay.
doing,
Okay.
and
So what happened was, I mean, really, thanks to you and thanks to the fact that you have helped me to promote, what I do. We've got a lovely base now of a group of what I would call spiritual healers. I think
mm,
we're in this place. I mean, I've been from my guides, the emissaries. They've told me that we're moving to a place of great healing. Obviously, great tribulation, call it what you will, great awakening, great healing as well. And
mm,
so I was kind of told that it was my job to try and get as many people on board ready to be able to help the trauma.
absolutely. I
Traumas.
got that message too
Yeah.
2 years ago. I
Yeah.
really did. When people asked us about the new earth, in some of my predictions, I kept saying what will happen is there will be this influx of healers that seem to the gearing up,
Yeah.
and that there's going to be some of us who are the healers and some of us who will require the healing.
Yeah.
And did the emissaries, did they tell you that there'll be a lot of walking wounded? Is there
Oh,
anything of that kind of?
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
what they said was because remember, we've got this awakening that's happening. We are the front end of that great awakening. The vast majority haven't, although it's happening now. Oof, the revelations that are happening. But when they wake up, remember, the majority of people who will be waking up were in the matrix, and they've done things to themselves. They're going to be traumatized. And so yes, there's going to be all of these people who are going to wake up, and they're going to be very angry. And the stages of loss, where you lose what you believe. Well, the first after denial, obviously that's where they've been denial, but then it's anger, depression. And so they're going to be there, and we've got to help them to get through to the acceptance part and forgiveness, etc. So they're going to be furious and traumatized, and so I think we're going to be very busy. That what the emissary said to me was, your work hasn't even started yet.
I get that sense too. I was thinking about this the other day. I was thinking about this journey that I've been on just publicly. I mean, I've been awake since the 90s. I really understood what was going on and the trickery that was going on in the 90s. So my anger, dealing with the anger and the waking up happened a long time ago.
Sure.
And, and I understood what was happening with the media and the mind control and things like that. And so that, happened in my university days where I really understood what was going on, the propaganda, etc. And then, uh, so when what I was thinking about was this last 2 years was, I was like, I just got this message. You haven't even begun the true journey of what's to come.
Sure.
You haven't even begun. This is the preparation.
Yeah.
And I was sort of trying to envision what that could be, what else is next. And I really do feel when I do things like quantum jump sessions through meditation and things like that and try to visualize what's coming in the future, it seems to always include healing, a component of healing others. Okay. And that all of this work that we've amassed, it's going to be more about the healing of others. And I think that there's so many people coming on board. There's so many of my audience members who have done your courses, some that are really, they're doing nearly all of the courses that you have on offer.
Yeah.
So, so can I show everyone what's coming up with
Sure.
you
Yeah.
on
And I can
your
explain,
website?
as you bring up the site, I'll explain what
Sure.
we're doing. So we've already done one series of courses, and the very first one is learning to use clinical hypnotherapy. And so anybody who does any courses with us, they must be able to induce hypnosis. Now, that doesn't mean they have to have done my course. They can do any course where they know how to induce hypnosis. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're just starting this next wave of courses, which is the first one is this weekend, actually. It's parts therapy. So we're learning how to resolve internal conflicts, and there's a bit more to it than just that. I'm going to help people to be able to help the clients into what we call chunking up into a state of bliss, to get them out of very heavy emotion into a blissful state. So that's obviously, for anyone who hasn't done hypnosis, it would be too early for them to join us at the weekend, because
yes. So okay, that's good. Okay, so everybody, did you hear that? So Gordon's basically saying the prerequisite for these courses would be that you have done clinical hypnotherapy so that you can induce hypnosis in people. In order to get the most benefit out of these courses that he has on offer that are coming up. Now, parts therapy, I do vaguely know about it. I learned about it about 4 years ago, and I was always intrigued by it. And I think I'd asked you, do you do parts therapy? I was always,
Sure.
I think I'd asked you that quite a few times, because I do know how beneficial it is in order to do that. So in you doing parts therapy, are you saying that you're teaching your students to do parts therapy as part of hypnosis?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Parts therapy can be done. It can be done outside of hypnosis, but
Yes.
my belief is this, that most of our problems happened in hypnosis when we were young, because when we're young, we're in hypnosis until 11, we don't come out of it. And so this is the issue with talkie therapy. If you're trying to fix a problem that was created in hypnosis in consciousness, you're not reaching it. It's like talking about it on the other side of the wall. So if you take people into hypnosis, then you're taking them back to where the problem started. And that's why you
Yeah.
can resolve things much better. That's the benefit of hypnosis, really.
It's so logical. It's so logical because, yes, this is why people end up for years and years and sometimes decades in talking therapy and nothing's
Yeah.
happening because you're rationalizing it, but it's not happening in that. I got to start my sessions with you again when you're not so busy. Because, like, yeah, there is a lot of that sort of hypnotic state that we are in, especially as young children, right? I
Sure.
understand now.
Sure. Yeah.
Exactly. Wow. Okay. I think that's the big light bulb went off. That's why I had to come back and show you
Yeah.
up front. So, okay. So that's parts therapy. Could you explain to us just briefly what parts therapy is for those who
Yeah.
are uninitiated?
It's a very simplistic thing. And let's say it's a metaphor. Well, it's a metaphor, but we are filled with parts. And we have some beautiful parts. There's a part of me that just wants me to do, a really good job. These are great parts. But then when you're talking to your clients, often you'll hear them and they'll show you with their hands as well. They'll say, do you know, there's a part of me that really wants to do it, but there's a part of me that doesn't want to do it. And, we say this is very common. There's a part of me that just stops me from doing it. Well, that's conflict when you do this. There's a part of me that wants to do it, part of me that doesn't.
Right.
Part of you
The
that doesn't.
saboteur, for example. Yeah.
Eh? Sorry,
The saboteur sometimes. Yeah.
absolutely. And this, this self-sabotaging is because we created a part when we were very small, when we had no business doing it, to keep us safe. And those parts are childlike. They behave like children because we created them when we were children. And so they do really crazy things when we come to do something that we said we don't want to do. Just let's give an example of that. You stand up to speak in school, you make a mistake and all the children laugh, which is very common. Yeah. Except you're laughing with them, but when you look down, there's blood on the floor. You're like, wow, this really hurt me. So as a child, you say, well, I'm going to create a part that will never allow me to speak in public again.
Wow.
Okay. And so as we grow up, this part is just faithfully doing the job. Of course it is, because you made it. And you go to speak and you start sweating, you can't remember your words. And it's because this part is saying, no, my job is to stop you from doing that. But then the adult, you want to speak in public, you desire it. And so this is part of it. I want to do it, but there's this other part that stops. So the idea with parts therapy is to get the parts to work together, to unite, to become one, and to help you.
Integrated. Okay, excellent. So is this a bit different than being a fractured individual? Do you know what I'm saying? So is this a bit different than that, than splintering, the psyche being splintered in some way through trauma?
I think, if we're looking at the way that they've used trauma to split people off and give them completely different, I think what it is, it's taking let's say it's taking the essence of what we are able to do. We are able to create parts within ourselves and make ourselves have different roles. When there's extreme trauma and repeated trauma, then those parts, they don't just become part of you, they become separate entities. And that's another level of but it's still all about trauma. So, even to fix that, we've still got to go back and resolve that trauma. Oh, obviously some of the traumas is awful,
Yeah.
That's where it comes from.
Wow. Okay. It is. I mean, I think about myself of all the different parts, not necessarily all negative, but there is so many, because we need those facets of ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to and the next course that you've got. So this weekend you've got parts therapy.
Yeah. I'm doing one a month. Yeah.
Great.
So we've got parts therapy, and then the next one, which is one I love, it's beautiful, is using hypnosis for physical healing for illness.
Ooh, I love that.
And what I'd say about this is, this isn't a be all and end all of itself. If I'm going to work with somebody with hypnosis, let's say somebody who's got the big C, yeah. it's like, right, we are going to use therapy and we're going to work on the emotional body, but you're going to throw the kitchen sink at it. You're going to do
Right.
every single thing that you possibly can, whether it's, Rick
Yeah.
Doodar's oil and just the whole
Yeah.
shebang, and this, because it's kind of a complement therapy. It's imagine
Yeah.
you've got a physical illness, it's manifesting. Now
Yeah.
that needs to be dealt with on a physical level.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. I
And I think
understand.
where people have made a mistake in the past is they'll say, right, well, I'm going to, I've got this, I'm going to start doing meditation, I'm going to get in touch, I'm going
Yes.
to heal my emotions. Yes, beautiful. But
Yes.
do the work as well. Do the physical work, cleanse yourself,
Absolutely.
So this is a complement therapy that goes, with, and obviously I'll be talking about all of the physical things that you can do too. But this is like getting in touch with where's the hurt. Every illness is a manifestation of an emotional crisis, in
Yes.
some
Oh,
degree.
yeah, absolutely. Wow, this is fantastic. So this is for, again, still the practitioner of the person who's teaching hypnosis, who's done clinical hypnotherapy, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Not the person who just wants to hypnotize themselves.
No, this
Okay,
is
or
this is all
this is
about, really what I'm sharing is what I would like is to be able to share that what I know, what I've got, known over
yeah.
the last sort of 15 years, 20 years,
Mhm.
and allow other people to go on and help other people. That's the idea. It's kind of the
Brilliant.
domino effect, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Just
Brilliant.
I'd
Brilliant.
like to add, for those people who would like to do that but haven't done the therapy, there are lots of healers doing other modalities, and
Yes.
hypnosis is a lovely bolt-on one. All I have to do, if they want to, is I've already got the home course
Yep.
available on the site. So if they wanted
Okay.
to do,
Is
if
this
you
the one?
just go up a little bit to the top,
Up.
to the menu, yeah. If you go up to the menu,
Yep.
and then store, get your courses, if you can see the second option on the menu.
Yep.
In there, if you go there, then you can, there's a clinical hypnotherapy course. Okay, it's something like 8 hours.
Guys, look, I've shown courses on my channel before. There is nothing this affordable out there. Okay, Gordon was told by the emissaries
Mm,
to just get out and share this as much as possible, share his knowledge to help as many people as possible, to have this army of people helping. He's kept these courses affordable so that as many people as possible can get on board. To
mm,
do this, if you're going to learn any type of hypnotherapy as a like a an extra type of hypnotherapy, the foundation is always clinical hypnotherapy.
sure.
You should always learn clinical hypnotherapy first before you try any other, sort of sparkly type of hypnotherapy. I don't know what to call them, all the
Sure.
other types. Okay.
Yeah.
So everyone do this. Do this. If you've
Mm.
ever wanted to do a course, the online hypnotherapy course with Gordon, it's only £99. And this
Well,
is now a online, right? It's
online,
not
yes. And what I've done is I've
live.
combined the two courses that we did. I've combined them and put the best bits in, and all of the demonstrations and things like that.
Yes.
So, I mean, just to add to that, look, I do this because I've got to do this. This is not, I
Yeah.
haven't got a choice in this work that I do, but I want as many people to be able to access it as possible. So what I've done on that course, I've created a coupon,
Mm.
half price one. So if all you have to do
Wow.
if you're buying it is just write half price, just in
Half
small case,
price.
and then you'll get it for half the price. If you wanted to
Okay,
do it,
one word. One word.
yeah, half
Eh,
price, yeah,
Which
one
okay.
word. Okay.
So did you hear that? So you can actually get this for half price. No more whinging. Look at all these people saying it costs too much money. No, half price. That's unbelievable. And then we've got the past life. So do
Yeah,
that first as a prerequisite. Then you can do
yeah.
the past life regression and higher self hypnosis course. And I have to say, you as a teacher, incredible. I sat and watched the way you facilitated the course when I did it quite some months ago. I think it was the
Mm,
start of the year. And I mean, the breakout rooms are fascinating what you were doing. I mean, obviously with this is not with other people. You're doing it in your at your own pace and
Sure,
online, etc.
sure.
But you're still able to do you suggest that they join your Telegram group for
Yeah,
the
we've
support
got a
session?
hypnosis Telegram group, where all the people who've done the courses come in, so they can come and join that as
Yes.
well. The information's in,
Yes.
I think, there's a PDF that they get with the download, and they can find out how to join us. But yeah, I mean, we've got a really big group of people who are all willing to help, and who are, what's beautiful about the people that come to these courses, and I'm sure you see this in
Yeah.
your work, JC, is they're all already bringing something with them.
Yeah.
They're all
Oh my
healers, they're
goodness.
all helpers. And so we get,
Absolutely.
and what I was going to say was, with clinical hypnotherapy, if you imagine that as just as a tool that's hanging on your belt, if you do Reiki, for example, you put somebody into hypnosis first, then do Reiki, it's going to be 10 times more effective than it would
Wow.
be if you didn't.
Yes.
Anything that
Yes.
you do, no matter what you do, help people into hypnosis first, and you're going to get a massive result.
Can you, and now we've been through this before. I'm just going to ask you again, or could you explain again and demystify what hypnotherapy is? Because so many people still are very concerned about hypnosis and
Sure.
being hypnotized. I've also had several people, after watching my recent video that I released of another hypnosis session I did, saying, I can't be hypnotized.
Sure.
What can I do? I can't be hypnotized. Having done your course and Laura's course, uh, there may be some. I had a private one, Q&A with my patrons, and
Mhm.
one of them she didn't say anything. But I said, "Have you been diagnosed with ADHD?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "Okay, I just got this sense that you couldn't keep your mind straight,
Yeah.
in order to listen to the suggestions."
Mm.
So, could you explain first of all what hypnotherapy is
Okay.
essentially,
Okay.
and then what about those who are concerned
Who
about,
struggle.
yeah. Mhm.
Right. So what hypnotherapy is in and of itself is helping the person just to calm down a bit, helping them to access slower brain waves. That's all that we're
Mhm.
doing. Because when we're in waking consciousness, our brain is kind of working at a certain frequency. And so we're very conscious. When we get into the lower brainwave patterns, then we can start accessing other information. It's like walking through a door. You walk through a door, and then suddenly you're in a different room where there's different information, and we get in touch with our emotional body, things like that. And we can then, it's almost like, I suppose, hypnosis is, if I were going to give you a metaphor. So I'm in a garage, somebody comes in and brings the car in, and I stand there and I tell them how to lift the bonnet up, and what they have to fiddle about with inside. Yeah. So I don't do
Mhm.
it. I don't even touch the car. The person then goes into their own car and starts fiddling about with stuff and moving stuff. Yeah.
Mhm.
We can, for change to happen, we have to be in hypnosis. And I don't mean that in a like only clinical hypnosis, because we go into hypnosis 20 or 30 times a day.
Yeah.
And so what happens is, that's why, I mean, I'll give you an example. There was something I said, and your face went like this. You went, yeah, right. And that was it, where you said it was a light bulb moment. what
Yeah.
what happens when these things happen, we instantly dip into this hypnotic state of, like, we shift out of our body, and like, whoa, right, okay, that's what hypnosis is. It's kind of an altered state. That's all it is, an altered state
Yeah.
of awareness. It isn't this. Okay,
Mm.
that's what people see on the TV with the showman,
Yeah.
sleep, boom. And that's why lots of
And you've
people think, sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, and you're fully like, I mean, I move around,
Yeah,
and I move around.
yeah,
And I'm fully wet, and my hair goes in my face, and I move my hair out of my face. You are
absolutely.
fully capable, and you can get out of that. This is what a lot of people are concerned about doing online hypnotherapy.
Yeah.
The person is able to at any point, because it requires consent
Hmm.
to actually open their eyes at any point or scratch their nose or scratch their arm or whatever,
Mhm.
it's just yeah, it's just slowing down the brain waves. It's the theta
Sure.
state, right? Is that
That's
correct?
right. Yeah.
Theta. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But
Right.
if um if the person is basically, hypnosis is a contract between the person who's guiding you into hypnosis and you. The contract is, I will allow you to guide me. Yeah,
Mm.
I'm going to do it. And so the person puts themselves into hypnosis. We just guide them into it. As you said, anytime the person can say, hey, and this is not for me. I'm coming out of it. I mean, I have done hypnotic induction with people standing up. You can do this. They can
Yeah.
be standing up. They don't have to.
I know I sit up. I don't like lying down.
No,
I've
I
done
don't.
it lying down. I don't like it.
No, and I don't particularly, when I'm doing it on Zoom, I don't particularly like my clients to be lying down because I can't hear them. And and
Can't hear them.
sometimes the head goes back and I can't hear a
Yeah.
blinking word that they're saying. So I like them right in front of the camera, but there's no,
Yeah.
as long as you're comfortable, you can go into hypnosis anywhere. So
Yes.
that's all that hypnosis is a taking you to an altered state of consciousness where you've got more access to change. That's all.
Right. Okay. Because in those altered states of being, those slower brainwave states, there seems to be more receptivity to suggestion and receptivity to accessing the parts of us that lay dormant when
Yeah,
we are in a normal waking state. Is that correct? That's essentially what it is. Right.
absolutely.
So then if somebody has, for example, I'm going to use a couple of examples. If somebody has, they're on medication
Mhm.
or maybe they smoke marijuana, will they have difficulty in going into a hypnotic state?
Okay, good question. I've worked with people, obviously, as a therapist, lots of people who come to me have been given tablets to take, and
Yes,
addicted to whatever it is that they're taking.
Xanax or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, the body has a way of normalizing. So what I find is people who have taken tablets, yes, they're not as sharp. That's all I would say. They're not as sharp as
Mm,
perhaps somebody who's clear-headed. But
yeah.
but they tend to go into hypnosis equally as well. That I've found equally as well. Does change happen as well? I think not. I think when people are, if you imagine, to change, you've got to be able to get that bonnet up, and you've got to get into the
Yes.
engine. When you're taking tablets, it's almost like you've got a layer over. It's almost like in
A
in
foggy.
the foggy, and you're trying to touch something, but there's something in between. But change can happen. I mean, what I tend to do in my sessions with people who are on that is, we'll talk about what they can do to get away from that. And what I
I
find is
see.
when people finally get off the medication, man, the session's so much crisper. They're so much more
Wow.
present.
And yes, I've heard of people, just from my experience, I've heard of people saying, well, I had a really relaxing time trying to get in it. It was just a very relaxing session, but they don't know if they had any change because of
Yeah,
whatever might be the
yeah.
barrier. Okay.
Mm,
And then what about things like ADD or where perhaps their mind is going a million miles an
yeah.
hour? Is
Uh-huh.
that an issue in trying to induce them? Just, I'm talking from a student's point of
Sure. Yeah,
view,
yeah.
that the things that they may come across.
Okay. With that kind of issue, obviously the mind's working really, really quickly. You can use that to your benefit.
Right.
The thing with hypnosis is that there are different levels of trance. The best work that you can do often with people is in very low level trance, very light trance. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to be, each person goes to a certain level. Some people just go so
Yeah.
deeply, but not everybody. So with somebody, I mean, if they can't sit still, I'll get them to sit on their hands. Okay. That's
I
all,
love that.
just
Great.
sit on your hands, because some people are a bit like, but even with them, if they're confident, if they trust you,
Yeah.
then you can guide them into a better place, you know, and it might take a couple of sessions, But what I will say is this, and this is something that's been sold, and I don't like it. This resistant client. He's resistant. And I've heard people say, couldn't get him into trance. He's resistant. And I think that's the biggest cop-out ever. You know, it's their fault, not my fault. You know, one of the pillars of NLP is that the power of your communication is in the response that you elicit from the person. So if the person's not going into trance, find another way, do something else. Yeah. And so, you know, find out, what are they scared of? If people don't go into trance, they're scared of something. It's fear that stops them from going in. That's the only thing. You asked about marijuana. I've had lots of clients who say, should I have a joint before I come and see you? Going, no, I do. No, do not. I won't have to, you know, but not before, because hypnosis is altered state. So imagine, and you know, smoking something like that, you put yourself into an altered state, but that's a different altered state. I don't want you over here. I want you over here, you know?
Yes.
So I wouldn't recommend that.
And some people who smoke marijuana, I don't know if it's just the hydroponic stuff, but some say that they can't dream, or they're not remembering their dreams. And so they're finding it hard to get to that point where they're visualizing and remembering. So I wonder if it's blocking that aspect of the brain. I mean, I don't
Perhaps.
know.
I don't know. But like everything, you know, there's a level, this, like, you know, nice, that's nice, and then that's getting ridiculous, and that's far too much. You know, and I think, you know, just keep it at nice. But it's the same with anything, isn't it? You know, too much of anything then starts. It puts you out of balance. That's all. You know, we're not designed to be doped up to the eyeballs every moment of every day. That's not who we are. So, you know, that's
I don't need any drugs or hallucinogens. Because I go into those states as a completely lucid human being without any sort of substances. I love that. I geek out on this. I love the fact that I can get into a meditative state and get into these things and travel and see these other aspects of my mind. You know, I think that's fascinating. And I think that's something to be proud of. So let's go to the next course. I sort of steered you off course, but I wanted to address questions that some of the students might have who may have already done a hypnotherapy course, and they might be new students, so they might be at that point where they're getting some clients that are a little bit resistant. So so we've got the past therapy, then we do the using hypnosis for physical healing, which is absolutely fascinating and very useful, because, gosh, I grew you know, in the 90s, it was all about Louise Hay's affirmations, and everyone thought that they could just think their way out of cancer and diseases and didn't want to do the work, and that's not how it works. And I know this now, that I've been thinking about this recently in the last few weeks, is that we need to tackle everything from physical, mental, spiritual. It's not just one thing and one thing only. And I love that hypnosis can go at it from another angle, rather than just the conscious mind that is going to perhaps put a barrier or retaliate consciously against the thing you're trying to assist it with. So you then got energy healing techniques to relieve trauma. Now, wow, this is going to be very powerful. So this is at the start of next year in January. Energy healing techniques to relieve trauma. We are coming up against a lot of people who have trauma themselves. Would you say, for the students themselves, would it be a good idea? We've got a lot of wounded healers.
Absolutely.
Right? And not nobody's perfect. Everybody's got wounds. So in teaching this is just, I'm just throwing this out there. In teaching something like this, could the student, the practitioner, find that they might need to heal some of their own trauma as they're, you know, when they're learning
absolutely. You know, what I found when I was attracted to therapy, I was attracted to it because I was wounded. And you know, and when I remember looking around at the group of people who were training with me, thinking, wow, everyone's got lots of problems, haven't they? But what I found was during my process of learning all of these techniques, I healed myself. And this is the beauty of learning. This is, as you go through your healing journey, you're healing yourself because you're practicing, you're trying stuff out on yourself. When we
Yeah.
do our courses, everybody goes off to the breakout rooms and they're working together.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
they meet up outside of the course and they're working together. The benefits are incredible. So it's kind of, and there is this, what I would recommend to people: do fix yourself before
Yeah.
you go off trying, because if you're not working on fixing yourself, and I'm not saying fix yourself entirely, it's a life's
No,
work,
it's a life's
but
work. Yeah.
if you're not working on it, what can happen is you can start projecting your problems onto your clients, and saying that your client is this, that, and the other, when actually you're talking about yourself. Yeah. So it's always, you are number one
Yeah.
priority.
Yeah. So I've met so many healers, clients, spiritual healers, so-called spiritual healers, and it's exactly what you describe. We've got a lot of people who wish to. Do you ever come across this? And you don't have to answer. That as you're working with them as students, that they seem to perhaps just want to fulfill an egoic aspect of themselves rather than genuinely want to heal people? Or is it very rare that you have met that? Do you understand what I'm trying to
Yeah,
say?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Thinking back, I mean, the courses that I've been running, I have never seen that. Because
Yeah,
I
good.
just believe that we're in a different place now. We're in a place where people
Good.
are drawn to this because they're being told to do this, by
Yes.
guides or whatever. But in the past, yes, I've seen people who were learning hypnosis because they wanted to be able to manipulate
In a
people
place.
very
Yeah,
well.
in a place of power. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But you can hear that, you can spot that instantly with somebody when, just even in the way that they do an induction, and it's all their own pronouns, I and me, and in a moment I am going to make you,
Yeah.
it's very old
Do you remember
school.
that Little Britain? I don't know if you know that Little Britain skit where he's going, look at my eyes, look at my eyes, the eyes, the eyes.
Not around the eyes, in your eyes.
Not around the eyes, look at the eyes. Yeah. So yeah, the people that think it's going to be the showbiz hypnotherapy
Sure.
type courses. Yeah, so let's go back to there was something that I probably was going to ask you about this. So energy healing techniques
Yeah.
to relieve trauma, and you help your client to find balance again. And this is in January.
Mhm.
So, could you give us an example of what this will assist?
Sure.
It's 2 days course, and
Yeah.
so tell us
So
what
what
we'll
we'll be
do.
doing there is, I've been using for years now, various energy healing techniques, of which EFT, EMI, which is eye movement integration, havening, which is,
Yes, you taught
yeah,
me this.
havening, which is
The
so beautiful. Yeah,
havening. I've just got to. I'm going to have to do a session with you again so you can remind me of all the brilliant things that you taught me.
yeah.
Yes. So
So
continue.
what we're going to do is this again, and what I'm aware of, and this is a message I keep getting, is that if you're going to do something, do it in hypnosis. Yeah? Do it in hypnosis, and you're going to get a better result. So what I'm going to, because obviously lots of people know EFT. EFT's been around, and it's, what a beautiful technique. But I've been using it in certain ways that help. Have you ever come across somebody who is so traumatized that they can't talk about the problem? This has happened
Yeah.
very often.
Oh,
I
yeah.
I just
Massive
can't
block.
even talk about it.
Yeah.
And they get one word out and they're crying.
Yeah.
So with these energy healing, there are techniques that you can use to help the person to be able to finally, even, imagine you've got different levels of trauma. You've got trauma that you spend your whole life talking about. Some people tell everybody every single time about their problem. That's
Yeah.
something that they need to deal with, but at least they can talk about it.
Yeah.
So imagine if you've got trauma that you can't even vocalize, you can't even talk about. I mean, that's mega. That's damaging you on the inside in such a big way. So I'm going to show people how to use these techniques and get the person to talk about it. but also how to incorporate these techniques into hypnosis as well. Because as you were saying, you can move in hypnosis. People think you've got to be sitting, with your head over to one side. No, you can move. So you induce a beautiful state of, a brainwave of hypnosis, and then you start using these techniques, and it's just,
Wow.
it just multiplies basically the healing.
Will you be doing the, I know this is energy healing techniques to relieve trauma. Will you be doing the chair therapy at all in this course?
No, I've done that, and I've got all of the. I want to put chair therapy up as a home course that people can do. I will be repeating all the courses again in the future. Yeah. But for the moment, kind of what I'm doing is I'm doing a whole year of all different courses, and then I'll start repeating them. But I'm going to put everything on. Everybody will be able to access them as a home course if they wanted to do that.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's so good. Yes, I just know I experienced the chair therapy with you, and I was shocked. And I don't know why I get shocked. I know all about these things that it's kind of reminds me, if people don't know what chair therapy is, I will get you to explain what chair therapy is. But it is kind of like doing the constellations work as well. Have you heard of constellations
No, I
work?
haven't. I
Where
haven't
you've
seen
got,
that one.
okay, so it's like chair therapy, but with a group of people. Okay,
Ah,
so
yes,
it's
yes, I have
like,
heard this.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this person's going to play your dad, this person's going to play the
Mm-hmm.
mom, da da
Yeah.
da. And these people, they're just, it's like they're channeling the relatives
Yes.
of yours, and it's the same as chair therapy. So chair therapy, you basically as you get the person to be their mother or father. Is it? Could you explain?
Yeah, yeah. So what happens is that invariably who goes in the chair are the mum and dad,
Yeah.
because other people hurt us in our life, but there's nobody can hurt us like our parents. Nobody. And so yeah.
I
And
was just
so
thinking about my poor daughter. She's probably like, I'm just imagining her in her 30s going, all my mum ever did was tell me, hurry up and eat. Finish your food.
finish your food. Well, we don't know. We don't know how to be parents. Nobody's told us how to be parents, and all that we've got is the what our parents did to us as a reference, and that's not always very good. In fact, there's something interesting about what I'm saying. This generation that we are in now is the generation of stopping the shit. Yeah, it's like it's been passed down and passed down. And when we go back, it's our parents had an awful life with their parents, blah blah blah. But it's now I see people are saying, no, enough with this shit. Now it's got to stop. I'll fix myself, but I'm not going to pass this on to my kids. Which is beautiful. That's where it just says where we are at the moment. But so what happens is this: chair therapy is all about releasing all of the pent up anger, hate, vile, everything that we are carrying. Imagine if you dislike somebody. Let's say you're really, really angry at your dad. Your dad doesn't know anything about it. He doesn't carry any of that emotion. You've got it all inside, and it's eating you up. It eats you up. It steals your happiness. It steals your joy. It stops you from being who you are. And so the idea with chair therapy is, first of all, in hypnosis, because this is where it happened, you let all that out. And boy, when once you get started, oof, I've had some people raging, and often if I think there's a lot of anger there, I'll get them to have a pillow on the knee and to punch the shit out of the pillow.
Yeah.
So that's the first stage, which is beautiful, and even that in itself is a release. But then they have to become the parent. And that's when it starts getting very interesting, because there's a thing in NLP called perceptual positions. And it's virtually like what the constellation thing. But when you put yourself, you see, we tend to see things like this. My parents were awful. My parents were awful. My parents were awful. And we see it this way. When you have to become the parent. And what I say to them is, I'm going to say, be your dad. You're not going to pretend to be your dad. You're going to be your dad. And so they have to become the person. And I talk to the father like I'm talking to the father, and I give them a hard time, and I tell them to explain themselves. What happens is the person, it's a weird loop that they get into where they are having to excuse their parent by being the parent, and they start giving excuses and blah blah blah. It wasn't my fault, blah blah blah. But it gives them a tremendous insight. Sometimes they never realize what the parents have actually gone through as when
Yeah,
in their life until they go into their
that's
skin.
right.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. And I remember doing it with you, with my mom, and I was like, my gosh, like the thing, even my whole demeanor changed and the way I answered,
Yeah.
and I just, wow, it's crazy. I didn't,
Mm.
yeah. Okay, let's look at the next course. I think we've done that, energy healing technique. So that's in January, and then in February you've got working with your clients' values and strategies.
Yeah.
Okay, explain this: couple counseling and relationship coaching. How do you add that to hypnotherapy?
Well, it's an interesting one. I put this one on. Do you know what? And this one is for me is my out of my comfort zone. Right. I put it on specifically because I know that I need to deal with this. I've worked with loads
Yeah.
of couples. I've done loads of couple counseling.
Yes, I know you
It's
have.
fascinating. It's
Yeah.
absolutely fascinating. Um, what I what I've noticed is that many couples who really do not get on, when we get down to it, they have totally opposite love strategies and they have totally disparate values. And whenever there's a big issue, so there's that. And there's
Yeah.
also the fact that we have visual people, we have auditory people, and we have
Mhm.
kinesthetic people. So, for example, I was working with one lady who wasn't getting on with her husband. She was visual, okay,
Mm.
a visual person. Now visual people, they're the ones who say, well, I can't see what you're saying. Can you see that? Yeah, that looks good to me. They always use visual metaphors
Mm.
when they're talking. Visual people need a lot of distance. They need distance because they like to see. They want to see the big picture. They need distance between themselves and other people. They don't like people getting too close. Okay.
Yep.
And they're not terribly touchy. Visual people like to see. Let me see it. Let the dog see the rabbit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So her husband was kinesthetic. Now, kinesthetic
Right.
people, they don't talk. Visual people do a lot of talking. Kinesthetic people don't talk. They're in feeling mode, and they are extremely tactile. If you've got
Right.
a kinesthetic partner, they will be grabbing your bum, grabbing your boobs, touching you all the time, because that's what they do. They show love by touching. Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she felt mauled. That was basically
I've
all of
had
her
that.
married life. She was just mauled by her husband. But he felt that she was a real cold fish because she never touched him. And he wanted to be touched.
Wow.
Yeah. So what happens is in couple counseling, once you identify the modalities that people are working in and the values and the love strategies, then at least you can start to get them to understand that to show love, they can't. People who show love use their strategy. I feel love when somebody does X, Y, and Z, so I will do X, Y, and Z to everybody to show them that I love them.
Mm.
And it doesn't work for everybody.
Is there an auditory? What's an auditory person?
So auditory people, they're the people who like to say, "Hey, that sounds really good." You know, that just goes click. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah. So auditory people, when you talk to them, they sometimes won't look at you. Sometimes they're like this. You
Yeah,
auditory people,
I
you'll see
do
their
that.
head tip to one side,
I
and
do
they're
that.
like dogs. You know, when dogs are
Yeah,
listening
I
to us.
do that.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
I'm on the border of visual and auditory,
Mhm,
and I've done a lot of this in training and stuff when I was working in like jobs and stuff like that. And when we do train, like, 'cause I used to do training, I used to perform training for people,
mhm,
and one of the things that we did was, yeah, we do like personality tests, etc. And I would be the one. Most of this class would be visual, and
mhm,
especially these new generations coming in that usually visual.
mhm.
But I was the one who was border, as an artist, you think I was just be visual, but I'm also a very auditory learner. Sometimes when people are talking, I have to close my eyes to
Yeah.
just listen to them.
Mhm.
And that's usually a person who's into detail, who reads every single thing, and they're
Mhm.
really good at the detail and things like that. So,
Yeah.
so yes, that's
Words are
interesting
very
because
important. Mm.
I can relate to the visual as well, because sometimes I need space
Yeah.
to have a think about
Yeah.
things. But then I've got the feeling thing going on, because sometimes I really feel, yeah. So that's interesting.
Remember,
Okay.
we're not just one thing. We're all
No,
three. We're all three.
no,
But what
no.
we tend to have a priority listing. So maybe
Yes.
first visual and then auditory and then kinesthetic,
Yeah.
or then kinesthetic, then auditory. And so what happens if if you're with a kinesthetic person, and this, when I didn't know it, I realized now looking back, I used to think that they weren't interested. Kinesthetic people lean back, they lean away from you, and they'll sit in the chair and they slouch in the chair, and you think, you don't care, do you? But no, it's because they're just feeling your words, and so when you're talking to people, imagine talking to your partner who's kinesthetic and you're saying, can't you see what I'm telling you? Can't you see the point of this? I just want you to look at me, and they're going, I'm just not feeling it. I just don't feel, I'm not feeling the
Wow,
love,
that explains my
you know?
marriage. He
And
was
many
mauling
marriages.
me, touching me all the time, and then whenever I'd talk to him, he'd be like, it's like he's not listening,
Yeah,
because he's
yeah,
like
yeah,
sitting back
yeah.
and yeah, yeah, okay, that explains it. That
And
explains it.
because once you
Okay.
understand it, you can start to
Yeah.
use language in a better way. If you're talking to a kinesthetic person, you say, look, I wonder if you can just really get in touch. Get in touch with
Yeah.
what I'm saying, and I want you to feel
Right.
what it is that I'm trying to relate to you. And they go, oh, right, get in touch. Yeah, feel. Yeah, I can feel that. Whereas if you say, I want you to say what I'm saying, can't say it.
Yeah, my favorite thing to say is, you're not listening to me. Why can't you hear me?
Auditory.
I'm
Yeah.
definitely auditory. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because that's I've said that quite a few times. Just listen
Hmm.
to what I'm saying. Why can't you hear me?
Exactly. Yeah. And then the person
Okay, this
saying,
makes sense.
I can't grasp it. I just can't grasp it. Yeah.
Right.
Aesthetic.
Okay. So then, in hypnotherapy, how would you use that? So what are you teaching the teacher? What are you teaching the hypnotherapist in your course that's coming up
All
in
right.
February?
This one will not be probably we will use hypnosis in the course, but it's
Yeah.
not. It's more like they're going to learn how to elicit from their
Ah,
clients
I get it.
strategies,
I get it.
elicit the values, elicit the strategies, the love strategy, elicit what each partner is in terms of their modality, their strength,
Mm-hmm.
the modality,
Mm-hmm.
and then be able to coach them into learning how to deal with another modality, another strategy.
Wow. This is very fascinating. Do you know, in Ayurveda there's the different types, the Kapha,
Yeah.
Pitta, Vata. There's a particular thing as well that fits in with that. So
Hmm.
I think what is it? I'm Kapha, I think. And I think the Kapha types are what was it? No, so Pitta types usually they need to have, for example, their love language would be like they need the lingerie, they need to see this thing. And then the Kapha types might be more touchy-feely kind of
Yeah.
people. And then
Yeah.
yeah, so it's interesting. This all fits.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. It'd be interesting to cross-reference that and see what it's like. Yeah, that's
Mm.
very intriguing.
Mm.
Okay, I want to know. So is there anything more you want to tell us about your courses?
No, no, that's it.
They
They're
are
there.
very affordable. I've
Yeah.
going to put the links below for Gordon's website, and also um again I will actually put, even though we've got the one link for the whole website, a lot of people
Yeah.
are very, you know, they don't
Mhm.
know where to look. They don't
Sure.
know how to
Yeah.
find.
And there's a
So
lot there. Yeah.
yeah, so I'm gonna put that as a separate link, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that they can find also this one here. So
Sure.
as thing. So it's going to take you a while to do that course. Obviously, you won't be able to sign up for the weekend, the course that starts this weekend if you haven't done the clinical hypnotherapy.
Yeah.
Okay. you can answer this later about the so once they complete the clinical hypnotherapy course, is there something that's like the how you know that they've completed it?
They'll get a certificate, yeah, to show that
Oh, okay.
they've
Right.
completed it.
Okay.
And just the other thing, do you see on cost? Right, so
Yes.
I've pitched it £175.
Yes.
Okay, I don't want anybody not who if somebody really wants to do the course, but that's out of their reach.
Mm-hmm.
Please talk to me and tell me what's within your reach. You know,
Yep.
I'm not.
Yes. I
Uh,
love this because look, so if you're saying, look, I'm broke and I'm desperate, I've always wanted to do hypnotherapy. I've always wanted to add, I'm struggling. I need to start my business. Or I've got a healing background and I'm just struggling. I just need that little bit extra. So contact Gordon. Here it is right there. Okay. The
mhm,
hypnosisacademy@gmail.com.
sure.
Email him, just reach out. Instead of emailing me and saying, that's not fair, I can't afford it, contact Gordon.
Yeah,
That's my number one thing I always say every time I show someone on my channel and people say, I can't work this thing out on their website. Have you tried to contact the person?
sure.
So
Yeah,
go to
yeah.
Gordon and this is what he does. Okay. He's there for you guys. Okay. This is beautiful. I just love this, Gordon. Thank you so much for doing this for everybody.
You're welcome.
So, and he will be running them again. So that's another thing. If you need to contact Gordon and you can't make it because you're away on holidays,
Mhm.
ask him. He will know when he will be running these again. And there will be in the future, you will be able to have them as online courses.
Yeah,
So if you
yeah,
can't turn up for that date, it will be able to fit in the future.
yeah.
Okay. So that's fantastic. I love
Mhm.
that. So the links will be below. And I really I want to know more because we never got to talk about this last time about the emissaries.
Mhm.
Can you tell me about I mean, first of all, everybody loves when I share your videos on my Telegram group. They just find it wonderful. And are they on? Where do you share the messages from the emissaries? Which YouTube channel is that on?
That's on my Peaceful Rebellion
Peaceful Rebellion.
channel.
Yeah.
So I've
Okay.
got one on I've got BitChute and YouTube. So obviously
Yes.
I just post them on both. Yeah,
Yes, yes,
yeah.
yes.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so first of all, tell us about how they came to you. For those who don't know who Gordon is,
Mhm.
can you please tell us about this? Because it was quite a unexpected event. Because do they come through meditation for you, or did they initially come through in a hypnosis session for you?
No, they came through in meditation, and they came through. Right. So hypnosis and meditation are like brother and sister for me.
Yes,
And I
exactly.
used
They are.
hypnosis for all of my life, you know, and
Hmm.
self-hypnosis and all of that.
Hmm.
But when I went away on a ayahuasca retreat, and during that weekend, I was given a message: meditate, meditate, meditate. I mean, over and over and over and over again. So obviously, I listened. So I came back home, and literally on the Sunday, I came back on the Sunday, I meditated that night. And I'd never done meditation before because I used hypnosis and I used to find that easier to manage. And I always thought that meditation was too difficult, you know, quieting the mind down, all of that. So I just sat and just focused on my breathing. And then as I was doing that, they started moving my body. Right.
Mm.
And it was a thought I had about something, and my head whizzed, but whipped
That's
from side to
right.
side, right?
Yeah.
Whipped from side to side. And I went, oh, now I'm in hypnosis, I get a lot of head movement anyway. So I just thought, so I asked the question, is this my higher self talking to me? And I got, no, with the head movement. All right. Is this my body wisdom talking to me? No. So I was thinking, well, what's left? So I said, oh, is it my unconscious mind talking to me? No. So basically, and then I said, well, is it something outside of me? Yes. Right. So it was just with, you
Yeah.
DAOs, the information you can get with yes and no is incredible if you
Yes.
ask the right
Yes.
questions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just, by way of asking questions, and that's all it was head movement. They said that they were beings from outside, beings of light, and that they wanted me to give a message of great hope. Yeah,
Wonderful.
that was how it started. Then it changed from head movements to then being hearing. Oh, it's not hearing. It's like having words put into my head. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I know.
yeah, I'm sure
That's
you
what I
do.
do.
I'm preaching to
Yeah.
the converted here. And then and that's just how it's developed. And it's, you know, I listened to something that they told me, because initially I would channel them and I would put the
Mm.
videos on channel. I mean, frightened the life out of my subscribers who were who who were ex Jehovah's Witnesses. You know, Gordon's gone
Yeah.
mad. So, but when I listened to their messages never changed from the beginning to now. It's never changed. And that's what I like about it, is that their constancy. It's always the same. All right, they give more details and more information and more help, but the message is always the same, which is we are in the moment where we're moving into the golden age, into the age of light, and it's good news, and we're in the great awakening. That was the first thing they said to me. We
Yes.
need you to help people to understand that we're in the great awakening.
Yeah.
Okay, and they're working with many people to facilitate that.
Do you think that they could be? I mean, this is my investigative mind. Do you think that they could be higher aspects of yourself?
I asked them that,
Yeah.
and they said no, they are a specific group of beings who have been assigned a role of facilitating the great awakening. That's what they've told me.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that they are one, but they are many. That's what they keep saying. Depending on the
Yes.
amount of work that has to be done.
Mm-hmm. I think when I hear these stories, just like with the Seth Speaks
Oh yeah.
work,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, Abraham and all of that sort of stuff, I believe that these beings of higher dimensional frequencies um, choose some of us who have a certain frequency to be able to give the message,
Mm.
and it's just the right vessel, and it's just the right frequency, and it would be a soul part of your soul agreement that when
Mm-hmm.
you came in here that you were going to be able to facilitate the message from coming through. Do you ever check in case? Do you ever check in case there's any interference? Do you ever do anything to do the check? Because when I do any channeling, I always clear completely, because years ago when I was in my early 20s, I thought I was channeling angels, and I ended up going, some kind of trickster came in on one session,
Sure.
okay, and so
Yeah.
steered me off course, and that's something that we've always got to be careful of. Do you ever
Mm.
do anything to sort of check or clear to ensure that
Uh-huh.
nothing's led you astray?
I've always, ever since I began therapy, I've always done this kind of invocation. It's a very simplistic thing, which is what I'm about to do, I do for the highest good of all concerned. And it's almost like it automatically is when I'm starting anything, it's automatically that is the very, very first step for the highest good of all. And
Do that in doubt.
sometimes, I mean, sometimes the emissaries, because the emissaries, hey, they've got a sense of humor. Is it a ha ha he sense of humor? No, but sometimes they'll answer and they'll say yes, for the highest God of all concerned. Instead of good,
Because
I
it's
go,
the
hey, very
emissaries
good.
of God. Here we go. This
Exactly.
ex-Jehovah's Witness trying to get away from dogma and religion, and then
I
the
know,
emissaries of
man.
God came through.
Man,
So
that was so upsetting for me. Like, please change the name. Please give me a different name. They go, nope.
it's a real challenge. So what's the news? What's coming through? What is coming up?
Okay.
Because
Mm.
I almost feel like in my journey at the moment, I've been steered um away from giving people predictions about the future, not because I can't give them that, but I'm always keep telling, the message I'm getting is just get them to focus on the now, get them to focus on the now, get them, because there's
Yeah.
nothing else. Like, so what are they saying for
Mm.
you? What are they saying for you and your audience?
Okay. So what the principal message, whenever I contact them, I always, the first question is, how's everything going? Yeah, with the Great
Mhm.
Awakening. Constantly, for 3 years, they've said everything is going exactly as it
Exactly.
needs to go, exactly as it needs. But what was interesting, a few weeks ago, I contacted them, and they always, you know, like I hear all these voices going, hello, hello, Gordon, nice to see you again. And but then I heard all of these victory shouts as I said hello, and I said, I mean, obviously, what they're telling me, I take very seriously. I said, "Whoa, that's unusual. What's that about?" And they said, "It's just because everything is going so well now. Everything's so beautiful at the moment."
Wow.
And so, a couple of messages that they give, which I think are really important, because as we look around the world, what we see are we see the world becoming, two very, very different places. So we've got all of this evil that's going on.
Mm.
And then we've got all of this wonderful stuff that's happening. And when I asked them, I said, why are all of these bad things happening? And they say always, what are you expecting from the baddies? Are you expecting them to do something good? Because they're always going to do bad. That's their job. That's their role. But the last message that they give me was that they give me a metaphor. They're really good at metaphors. I love the metaphors they give me. They showed me a car coming off, you always see it in the films, comes off the road and it goes down the cliff and it's just rolling like this, and there's bits flying and flames everywhere. And they said, that's where the baddies are at the moment. They are in free fall, falling. However, they are at their most dangerous, because that's, a car's never more dangerous than when it's falling down, if you get in the way of that. So they were setting bits flying off, and they said, so at the moment, it's time to stand back. We must stand back and let this happen. Don't think that you have to get into that. Just keep a little bit of distance.
This makes sense. So do you think that this possibly for some of us, because I'm finding that a lot more people are saying what I've been saying for 2 years, which is stay out of the fear, just step out of the fear, just get away from that.
Yeah.
People think I'm telling people to put their head in the sand and block their ears, but it's not. It's about don't get pulled into that.
Yeah.
Try and focus on where you wish to be, and that the world will take care of itself. It's almost like
Yeah.
it's like that. So do you
Mm.
think that might be what they're saying is getting caught up in that, the fighting or the infighting, or getting caught up in despair and the story, the narrative of the negative sort of timelines? Could that
I
be
think
part of it?
that's I mean, they've always said, you must, the journey that they talk about is the journey going within. That's the journey that they
Yeah,
want
yeah,
everybody to go
yeah,
on,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
not
yeah,
going within.
Mm.
But also, I think one of the messages from this was these are dangerous times, because that in the Bible it says the devil is walking around like a raging lion, knowing that he only has a short time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they give me that quote. These are dangerous times because they are wild. They are wild. They said that the baddies are
I've
angry,
experienced.
frustrated. They're furious, and they're frightened. And you know what a wounded animal's like? It's dangerous. So what they're saying is, don't put yourself in. There's a lot of people who are kind of like are going out and are going to fight the good fight, and put
Yeah,
themselves into dangerous positions.
yeah.
And they're saying, don't. Now's
Don't.
not the time to put yourself into a
Oh,
dangerous position.
we've lost quite a few who think that that's what they got to do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
They really think that they're fighting a war, and the good war. And I know we can talk about it metaphorically, that this is a war on consciousness,
mm,
etc. But sometimes some people valiantly throw themselves into the snake pit, and unfortunately they've been taken in by that. So
yeah,
yes, I
yeah,
understand. We need to sort of stay on the sidelines, and sometimes being the good guy or following integrity is not the most popular thing. I
no,
found. I'm finding that the more I stick to my integrity, the more I'm alienating people, because I'm not doing the popular thing
yeah,
by going along to get
yeah,
along.
yeah,
And so it might be very popular to woo people in with the fear porn and the, oh, look here, and I'm going to show you the prediction of the future because that's going to get me more ratings.
mm,
And I haven't done that, and I'm finding that people are showing where they're at in terms of frequency. So they're really showing that there's a cluster of people who are really, really going to do the work on the
Mhm.
inside, right?
Mhm.
And that's it's not a big number. It's not
No.
a big number of people.
Mhm.
So yeah, as far as the population goes,
Yeah.
that's fascinating. Is there anything? I mean, you know, what you've just said sounds very safe
Mhm.
in a way. And I know how spirit works in that they don't give us timing.
No.
And if they say soon, soon could be 10 years from now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Has there any has there been anything that they've said that's really jumped out at you? Have you ever asked specific questions about, say, the economy or um, world wars or
Yes. I asked about wars.
dangerous?
Yeah.
Tell me
I
what's
asked about
happened.
wars. Again, they don't like getting into the detail, but I said
Hmm.
to them, just help me understand, is there going to be will there be a war? And they said, if you're talking about mass death, no. But there may be what appears to be things happening. The I don't want to say the word, the flag stroke false.
Hmm.
But in terms of mass loss of life, no. They said no. That isn't something that seems to be on the cards. And one thing that does stand out to me was I don't know whether I've mentioned this. The astrologer here in Spain is a guy called Robert Martinez, and he is a top. I mean, he's really good. He predicted the end of COVID, the timing of it. He predicted a lot of things only based on the alignment of the stars.
Right.
And he's been very good, and he's a fantastic guy. He only speaks in Spanish, unfortunately. So,
Robert
um,
Martinez.
but
Okay.
um,
I'll have to look him up.
but what he was saying was that obviously we've had the eclipse
Hmm.
yesterday,
Yep.
yeah,
Yesterday.
and he was saying that was the last big push in terms of energy that the baddies can have. It's their last
I
big
I
push.
felt that because I feel me and a couple of other psychics, we sort of confer, good people that I trust, and we're all picking up on the same thing that there is this weird sort of turning and shift for the good
Yeah,
around. I think the 11/11 is going to be something important there, but I think around the solstice,
yeah,
December, there seems to be this turning point for a lot of the people who've fallen away,
mhm,
who are going to have the chance to come back and kind of redeem themselves or play out some sort of karma. But I did feel massive, and a lot of us have felt these last couple of weeks this energy of
yeah,
heaviness and
yeah,
tiredness and attacks and
mhm,
this kind of feeling if you're susceptible to it.
mhm,
And yesterday was a bit of a weird kind of bizarre energy with the eclipse. I don't know what you felt.
yeah.
Sometimes if you're sensitive to it, you feel it, and sometimes if you've done the work, sometimes you're witnessing other people
Other
feeling it,
people,
and
yeah,
you're sort of just observing other people feeling it.
yeah.
But yeah, that's
Mm.
interesting. So this is the last push.
This
What do you
well, the
think?
two blips. He said this one, the eclipse, and then there's a little blip in March. But what he's saying was
Yeah.
that on the 15th of December, we
Mm.
officially go into the age of light, the golden age. That's the flip point, which ties in very nicely with what you were saying. Yeah. So
Uh-huh.
that's what according to the alignment of the stars, that's when
Wow,
the
that
official
fits in.
beautifully. And then, so what's going to happen now? And this is what the emissaries keep saying is that at the moment, our world, the world of what you would call the truth of the world or whatever you want to call it, it's, I mean, it's a mess. We're a mess.
Huge.
We're not united. We're not
No.
coming. There's no union there. We're all doing our own thing, but that's okay. That's exactly how it's had to be. That's how it's had to be. But
I always see that. Yeah, yeah. I
yeah,
always see the contrast is necessary always when you
absolutely.
look at it on the
Yeah.
big picture. Yeah.
But next year, 2023, is going to be, the feeling I get and what they tell me is it's going to be the year of union, where we're going to be able to literally chunk up out of the details, away from the details, and into the big picture of this is what we all want.
Yeah.
So, and what Robert was saying was that after the blip in March, which is going to be nothing particular, I mean, there's nothing going to happen that like they had it. He said for the next 10 years, all the alignments are beautiful. For the next,
Wow.
there's nothing. And I'm thinking, get in. How about that? For the next 10 years. Now, I didn't ask him after 10 years, couldn't give a shit. I'm happy 10 years.
Yeah,
I'm happy with
exactly.
that. Yeah.
Let's just do that.
Yeah.
Wow, this fits wow, this is fitting in with a lot of things that, because I've really pushed hard. Look, I think that the contrast and the division was necessary because when okay, so if you've got the majority, the vast majority of an audience, for example, not looking at things from the outside looking in, the reason why I cope with a lot of the things that I deal with easily is because I'm always going, okay, now what's the big picture here? As the bigger person, not the 3D person, what can I learn from this thing? I tend to get over things very easily, whereas the
Yeah.
majority of people don't see the big picture. They're really, really rooted in the 3D. And so if I, as a teacher and a facilitator of these information, have to literally say to them, be protective of your energy. There is an enemy, okay? There is an enemy in terms of they're trying to steal your consciousness to draw you into the wrong time. So please focus this way. Now, that's going to be perceived as me saying, I'm dividing people and saying this person's bad and this person's
Yeah.
good. Do you understand? So I do understand why that division has occurred, because in the grand scheme of things, even in the most divisive or misinformation driven person, there is a bigger picture there, because even the people who were misled will learn something in their own karma from that, right? So there is, that's why I understand what you're saying, what the emissaries are saying is that it's okay.
Yeah.
But on the grand scheme of things, yes, I understand the division. It's quite, yeah. Do you think that perhaps maybe everyone's kind of learning that the division isn't working and then it comes together? Do you think or it's a combination of things?
I think it's that. I think it's also a combination of the energies that we've been having to
Yes.
work with, because
Yes.
the energies have not been uniting energies. They've been
No.
scattered. The energy's been scattered,
Yeah.
I think. But I think what's going to happen is that if you imagine, let's just say, and this is what this guy said. Let's say the 15th is the tipping point, and the emissaries have shown me this. It's like we've been like this, and it's been walking uphill. That there's been no flow. We've had to push uphill, and now we're on the level, and so it's now becoming very easy. Well, after December, we're going to start tipping, and it's going to get faster. It's going to be easier. That's all. And so the flow, everything's going to flow so much more, like a river. It's going to start flowing and pouring. But like if you've been up before the sun rises, it's dark. But then even before you see the sun, the
Yeah, it
light's
gets
starting to shine.
darker and then it starts, yes.
But then you start to see stuff. You can't see the sun, but the light's starting to shine. And this is where we've been. We've been in this. The lights come. People are seeing things,
Yes.
but it's not totally clear. And then in December, beyond, the sun comes up, and everyone goes, "Whoa, I see." And that's where the Great Awakening is really going to start.
I think that's
That's exciting, isn't
fantastic.
it?
It's so exciting. This is the first time I've been really excited, because I'm struggling too. I'm having to live normal life, and what I ended up doing was just focus on one day at a time, because I couldn't predict. I just couldn't even dare to predict what's coming next.
Yeah.
And just living in that now moment is so important for everyone. So it's just taking one day at a time. But because I kept being promised, but when I talk to my trees, when I it's like the light is coming, the light is coming, just the light is coming, and it's like, when? When am I when am I going to see this? So, but this makes sense because I had been feeling this for the longest time since last
Mm,
December. They kept saying it's coming solstice, that there is this light. Uh, and I know there are a lot of light workers out there that I work with who their role, they say, is to grid the light into different parts of. Now, that's not my role, but that's their role.
yeah.
And I know from listening to them and the work they've been doing, they're all saying the same thing. There's
Mhm.
this massive light shift coming in December around the solstice,
Yeah.
leading up to it. And there is this, wow, that
Mm,
really fits in. That really
mm,
does. It's
sure.
amazing. That's fascinating. Wow. So there's no translation of this guy's work, Robert Martinez?
No, do you know what what I was thinking was it would be lovely because he's never done this to have him on for example on your show and
Oh,
I could translate, yeah, and you could ask,
absolutely.
that would be that,
Oh.
but I'll have to see how I could get in touch with him and ask him if he fancies doing it because he talks at a
Absolutely.
million miles an hour, so it would be very difficult to manage. We'd have to just get him to do little sound bites, but
Yes.
might be something of interest. He's a super guy. I mean,
Wow.
he's so well thought of in Spain. He's helped from the beginning. He's been a positive voice always, and he knows so much.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. How would that go with translating back and forth, back and forth? Because you'd have to translate. Does he
It,
understand English?
no, I don't think so.
Okay.
But it literally would be like the three of us. You would ask him a question. I
Yes.
would translate the question. He would answer it, and then
My dream is to
I would
speak
translate
Spanish.
it.
You do realize that?
Eh?
My dream is to speak Spanish
Oh
fluently.
man.
Like it was, I always dreamed that I could speak 7 languages fluently, and
Uh-huh.
Spanish was definitely one of them. So,
Mm,
wow. Okay, that's fantastic. I would love to speak to anyone like that and to
mm.
introduce people to his work. And I had a lot of audience members from different parts of the world who
Sure.
would
Yeah.
translate some things. So that's fantastic. Yes, let's keep that on the bucket list.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Is there anything else you want to share with us? I don't know how long we've been going for.
I
It's
don't
been
know.
an hour and a
Yeah.
half. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, no, I think in general, if I were to give an overview of the emissaries,
Mm,
we are in exactly the right place. Everything is happening as it should be, and really, all we've got to do is, and you've mentioned this a number of times, stay in the present, focus on ourselves. Our job right now, because if we're going to move into the golden age, we can't carry a load of baggage with us. Our
mm.
job is to do the housekeeping, do our own housekeeping, look at ourselves, honestly, and look and say, well, what do I need to improve? What do I need to do to get myself into a good place, and do it, and find there's tons of help now. We're surrounded by healers. We've got more
Absolutely.
healers than we know what to do with at the moment because the great healing hasn't started. So now make the most of it and get as much help as you
Absolutely.
can.
A couple more questions about that. Do you think that those who have not done the work, now I'm talking about the people that are awake, because there are a lot who are all who claim that they are awake, but
Mhm.
they are possibly just at that stage where they're still talking about the problems, and they're using that as a distraction. They're using the intel as the distraction to
Yeah.
make them feel as though they're doing something
Mhm.
instead of looking within. Do you think that that time is coming for those people to finally look at themselves? Is there something coming that's going to make them finally look at themselves to heal?
Right. The way I see it is this. Um, right. If you want to be at the front end of this, then you need to get your shit together now.
Mm.
But if you don't, you're going to get your shit together anyway. It's going to happen anyway. But it's what imagine the way I look at it. Like, do you want to be at peace with yourself now and enjoy this next period that we're going through in peace? Or do you want to be in turmoil and have to go through this next beautiful period in turmoil and then be okay? If you know what I mean, you're going to be healed.
Yes.
The energies are going to
Yes.
heal you anyway. You can't go into the golden age with baggage, but you can go up to the point. I mean, it's not a dividing. Right now we're in the golden age. It's a it's a very slow increment. You know, it's a long time before we get to that nirvana place. And so if you've got stuff, you're going to take it with you, and it's going to take the joy out of what could be a beautiful experience. That's all. Everyone's going to be saved.
I know. I see that too. I think that's beautiful. That's wonderful. Wow. Okay, this is fantastic. Wow, Gordon. Thank you for talking to me. I just love you. I really do. I hold you in the highest regard as far as the go-to people, the people that I admire because
Thank you.
you're just so full of integrity. And I've seen you work on both sides of the camera. I've seen you work with students. I've seen you work with me. I've seen you, not just the way you talk. And I know that you also, um, you've got a great bullshit detector. so you're so you're able to suss out, just exactly what is needed. And I just love that. And thank you so much. And so everyone, please look at the links below for Gordon's YouTube channel, for his hypnotherapy courses, his other courses. If you haven't done clinical hypnotherapy and you've been thinking about adding a modality to your current work, or you've just started to come into the healing profession, that is definitely something you've got to get under your belt. And I think that this is a very, very affordable way to do it. So, and I've done it. I've done the course, and I have to say, one of the best teachers, one of the best facilitators I've ever had the pleasure of being taught by. So please look at
Thank
the
you.
links below. Thank you so much, Gordon.
Thank you, JC. It's been a pleasure. And again, you've helped me so much in helping to build my sort of little world. So thank you.
Thank you. All right. See you later.
See you
Bye.
later.